So, one of the big questions I've been asked a lot here lately is why do I think the violence is so bad in one area, especially under these ICE operations? Why do I think that there's so much violence in one area, or it appears to be so much violence in one area and not in another? And probably the real obvious thing to point to right now is that these blue states is where all the so called violence is happening, right? That's where all of the anger and frustration and demonstrations, and believe me, these are not peaceful demonstrations, these are violent demonstrations, um, are happening because you don't see the same thing happening in Florida. And the only thing you can attribute it to is that these are blue states, these are red states. Now, granted, in these blue states, they've passed sanctuary laws, which, for just a quick little recap of what a sanctuary state does or a city does, is that if I arrest somebody that's an illegal migrant for a crime, I don't report that to ICE, right? I don't report that to federal law enforcement. Now, if there's an active warrant, depending on what that warrant is for, you have an obligation to hold that person on that warrant and notify the agency of that warrant, right? So that's kind of where these sanctuary policies end, though. Just because you have a sanctuary policy in place does not prohibit federal law enforcement from coming in and doing their job, but it does make their job much harder. So now, instead of me just coming to a jail peacefully, you hand them over to me. I put my cuffs on them. You take your cuffs off them. We put them in my car and we drive away and we take them to our facility. Now you release them into the public. So that makes their ICE's job now that much harder to have to go in. Now they got to go into the communities and they have to go take these people out of their homes. They got to, and sometimes they have to surveillance them because they're not sure exactly where they're living. So they got to surveillance and make sure that they're living in the spot that they claim to be living when they left jail on that booking report. Because let's remember, all booking information is public knowledge. Go on your local sheriff's office now and see who all got booked into their jail last night. You'll be able to see them all. So all of that stuff is general knowledge, right? So, but they just make their lives so much harder by having to go out in the public now and find them. So what happens now? You've got paid agitators out there. There's questions. Some of these people are making like 150,000 a year, flying all over the country to be a paid agitator. Whether it's in LA, whether it's in Minneapolis, doesn't matter. They're getting paid to do this. And I mean, let's face it. Some of these signs you see coming out of these pickup trucks are professionally um, printed up.